The bus rolled to a stop at the corner of Jefferson Avenue and Elmwood Street. The sound of the doors opening was followed by a steady stream of passengers stepping aboard. Tired faces filled the seats, each person lost in their thoughts after another long day. Among them was an older man named Mr. Lewis. His slow, careful steps as he walked toward the back of the bus showed the years of wisdom and experience he carried. In one hand, he gripped a sturdy cane, its surface worn smooth from years of use. With the other, he held a small grocery bag, and as he settled into his seat, he placed his cane beside him and gazed out the window. The evening light fell gently across his face, casting shadows that told stories of a lifetime filled with challenges. Mr. Lewis sat in silence, unnoticed by most people on the bus, except for a few curious glances or polite smiles from strangers. The bus moved forward, the quiet rumble of the engine blending with the sound of distant chatter and the occasional beep of a phone. Still, Mr. Lewis remained a calm presence amidst the noise, his mind far from the present moment. But not everyone on the bus shared the same sense of peace. As the bus slowed for the next stop, the atmosphere shifted. A group of teenagers, 4 in total, bounded up the steps, their laughter filling the air. They wore backpacks and carried themselves with the kind of confidence that hinted they were looking for trouble. They quickly scanned the bus for someone to entertain them. One of the boys, a tall kid with a baseball cap, spotted Mr. Lewis sitting quietly in the back. "Yo, check him out," he whispered to his friends, loud enough for anyone to hear. The others followed his gaze, and their laughter grew. They made their way down the aisle, eyes fixed on their target. "Hey, old man," the boy with the cap said as he leaned on the seat in front of Mr. Lewis. "Did you miss your stop at the retirement home or something?" Mr. Lewis didn't respond. He simply kept his eyes on the window, as if the world outside was far more important than whatever nonsense the kids were saying. His silence only encouraged the group. Another teen, a smaller boy wearing a hoodie, snickered, "That cane for walking, or is it holding you up?" His joke was followed by a burst of laughter. The other passengers on the bus shifted uncomfortably, their eyes darting between the teens and the elderly man. A woman near the front tightened her grip on her purse, and a man in a suit pretended to focus on his phone. It seemed like no one wanted to get involved. But the teens didn't stop there. They edged closer to Mr. Lewis, their taunts growing louder. "Bet he's got some cash on him," one said. "What's in the bag, Grandpa?" "Cat food?" Just as they thought they'd gone too far, something about Mr. Lewis shifted. He straightened slightly, his calm demeanor unbroken. The teens hesitated for just a moment, and for the first time, they seemed unsure. That brief silence was all it took. "What's the matter, Grandpa?" the boy with the baseball cap asked, leaning in even closer. "Cat got your tongue?" He tapped Mr. Lewis' cane with his sneaker, a move meant to provoke. The others burst into laughter again, but this time their confidence seemed thinner. Mr. Lewis didn't flinch. Instead, he turned his gaze toward the boy. His eyes weren't angry or afraid, they were steady and calm. The bus grew quiet, and the tension was almost tangible. The boy in the hoodie leaned in, trying to keep control of the situation. "You deaf or something?" "Maybe he doesn't speak English," he joked, pushing even harder. But still, Mr. Lewis didn't react. Finally, Mr. Lewis spoke. His voice was calm, firm, but not harsh. "Do you boys always find fun in bothering strangers?" he asked. The words hung in the air, leaving the teens startled. No one expected him to speak, and certainly not like this. His tone wasn't angry, it was just clear. "What's it to you?" the boy in the hoodie retorted, trying to regain his bravado. Mr. Lewis didn't answer right away. He tilted his head slightly and said, "I've met young men like you before. Different time, different place." They didn't laugh as much when they learned what real fear feels like. The bus grew even quieter. The teens glanced nervously at each other, their confidence beginning to fade. The boy with the baseball cap scoffed, clearly trying to hold on to his tough guy persona. "What? You gonna scare us with your cane?" he sneered. Mr. Lewis leaned forward slightly. "You think this cane is what I lean on?" he asked, his voice steady and measured. "No, boys. This cane is just what holds me up now. What holds me up is something much stronger. The teens stood still, their mocking smiles slowly disappearing. Mr. Lewis continued, his voice carrying the weight of someone who had seen much more than any of them. When I was your age, he said, I carried something much heavier than a cane. I carried a rifle through jungles half a world away. Vietnam. The words hit harder than anything the teens had expected. The entire bus fell silent. Mr. Lewis paused for a moment, letting the weight of his words settle. Back then, we didn't have time for jokes like yours. We had to grow up fast, too fast. Some of us didn't come home at all. And those who did. His voice trailed off, and his grip on the cane tightened. We carried more than our gear back with us. We carried scars. Some you can see, most you can't. The smallest of the group shuffled uncomfortably, his eyes flicking nervously to the floor. Even the boy in the hoodie had lost his smirk. Mr. Lewis continued, let me tell you what fear really is. It's not being mocked on a bus. It's hearing the snap of a twig behind you, not knowing if it's a soldier or a trap. It's watching your friend fall beside you, knowing you can't stop to help. The silence in the bus was deafening. And you know what else I carried? Mr. Lewis added, locking eyes with the boy in the cap. Discipline, respect, and the understanding that real strength isn't about tearing others down. It's about knowing when to stand tall and when to sit quietly. The tension in the bus was palpable. The teens stood in stunned silence. The smallest one mumbled, we didn't mean anything by it, man, his voice now apologetic. Mr. Lewis nodded slightly. I know you didn't, he said quietly. But words have weight. And you never know what someone's carrying. Before the teens could say anything else, the bus slowed for the next stop, and the doors opened. The group shuffled awkwardly toward the front, their earlier bravado now gone. As they exited, they muttered quiet apologies to Mr. Lewis. The passengers who had been silent the entire time now looked at him with new respect. As the bus pulled away, the mood had shifted. No one spoke much, but everyone was thinking about what had just happened. The bus was no longer just a ride. It was a moment of reflection. Mr. Lewis sat quietly, his cane resting against his knee once again, but the respect he commanded was clear. He had given a lesson no one would forget. As the bus neared its final stops, a young woman sitting across from Mr. Lewis spoke softly. Thank you for what you did, she said. For what you've been through. Mr. Lewis nodded, his expression kind yet restrained. I did what I had to. That's all any of us can do. With that, he stood up, his cane steadying his frame. He walked to the door and paused, looking at the passengers around him. Be kind to each other, he said quietly. You never know the battle someone's fighting. And with that, he stepped off the bus, leaving behind not just a seat, but a powerful lesson. The doors closed, and the passengers remained in quiet reflection, carrying with them the reminder of the strength found in humility and the importance of respect.